Ready? Do you have a motion to go back into regular session?
Make a motion to go back in regular session.
Second. First one, Mr. Deloach, second, Mr. Burdette, go back into executive session. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. Excuse me, carries. Consideration to approve the October 16th and October 24th, 2018 executive session minutes.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Mr. Deloach,
Second.
second, Mr. Burdette, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. If there's no other business, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kiefer. Second, Mr. Deloach, to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. We adjourn. All right. Is everybody ready? Is everybody ready? Ready? Okay. We're going to call to order the Effingham County Board of Commissioners meeting. It's November 6, 2018. It's 5:05 p.m. And ask everyone if they would please rise for the invocation given by Commissioner Burdette and remain standing for introduction for someone who help us with our pledge allegiance tonight.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to be here today, Lord. I pray for each and every one here for the health and safety, Father. I pray that what we do and talk about tonight glorifies you in some way, Lord. And I pray for unity in our decisions tonight, Father. In Jesus' name, amen.
Mr. Chairman, board members, and visitors, we have with us tonight Ms. Olivia Mew, who is an 11th grade student at South Effingham High School. She serves as the Vice President of Community Outreach. Olivia is an active 4-H member who stays involved in 4-H programs on the county and district level. She is also a Georgia 4-H certified team leader, leading us in our pledge tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. It's always good to have the 4-Hers so that our community can be involved in our board meetings as well. Have the approval of the agenda tonight. We consider a resolution to approve the agenda, and I understand there are some additions and maybe some corrections or changes to the agenda. Stephanie, help us with that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We can, under new business number, get there. New business number 13, we've received a request from the applicant that this item be removed from the agenda at this time. That item is a D for Timberlake subdivision phase 2. We have a couple of additions to the agenda. Under new business number 19, consideration to approve to authorize the chairman to sign the sanitary sewer extension submittal form to EPD for Jasper Village. Addition number 20 under new business, consideration to approve a letter of support for the city of Springfield for the redevelopment of a property located on North Laurel Street.
I'll make a motion to approve with the said changes.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the agenda with the said changes, and a second motion by Mr. Deloach. Second, Mr. Floyd, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And carries. We have an agenda. Item number 5, consideration to approve the minutes In the October 16th, of the October 16th, 2018 regular commissioners meeting, the October 16th, 2018 workshop, and the October 24th, 2018 special call meeting. I have read those minutes and believe they're an accurate rendering of our meeting. Are there any corrections or additions? A motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve all the minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Floyd, to approve all the minutes as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Any carries? Thank you. Welcome to the public here tonight for our meeting. Ask you to keep your comments to the agenda items only if you would, and then if you could keep them to a couple, 3 minutes. You know, we all want to get home and hear about the election results, and we have a public hearing after this. We have a full agenda tonight, so you can help us, and it gives everyone a chance to speak to an agenda item. Documents for this meeting are located in the clerk's office. They're placed on our website as well, the agenda items and so forth. So if you've got a chance to review those and are prepared to participate tonight, and you have the opportunity. So we move to item number 7, 8. We have some presentations tonight. The first one, I believe, is on Beecher Drive. And it's 5:10, so we'll go ahead and call for that.
Stephanie has some handouts for the commissioners. Commissioners and county administrators, my name is Adam Farabee. I live at 118 Beecher Drive. I have a few items about the roadway. The roadways are Beecher Drive and Red Maple Drive. They have the coal ash substrate. We have several complaints regarding the nature of the road with the way that the road has been maintained or lack of maintenance, regarding the sealant that is put over top of the coal substrate. Ms. Johnson has handouts that I prepared for you that's going to go over some of our points. I'll be brief and allow you to read these at your own leisure. Basically, the coal ash substrate is exposed in several places on our roadway. These are in the form of potholes and along the edges of the roadway where the coal ash is exposed to the elements out there in the open. And there are several places in our driveways on the county right-of-way that the coal ash is exposed. This is even after the county has come through and resealed the roadway. There are still sections that are exposed. This coal ash has got toxic chemicals in there that EPA recognizes. Some of these toxic chemicals are arsenic, lead, cadmium, mercury, and other heavy metals and carcinogenic compounds. So the roadway is too narrow. Because of the way the coal ash substrate is designed and the way that it's put together, the edges are crumbling, and this means that the new stuff that is put on there is not wide enough. There are places where Beecher Drive measures 17 foot 5 inches wide. On my way over here tonight, I passed the school bus, and both of us had to dip both of our tires off the road in order to pass each other safely. Item 3, the shoulder of the roadway is crumbling. I briefly mentioned this. This has left some large rocks on the side of it, which basically prevents us from mowing it without doing severe damage to our lawnmowers. I did bring an example of some of the rocks that you can find in the roadway. These rocks are, some of them are the size of the fist, and you definitely don't want to hit those with the average home lawnmower. Item 4, we have doubts on the effectiveness of the new sealant. There's an obvious difference between the old original sections of roadway and the parts that have been resealed. The biggest difference is in the loose gravel on top of these resealed sections. We have been told that the new sealant is just as good and will harden over time, but there are places where the new sealant has formed washboards and potholes. We have been told the new sealant, We have been told the new sealant will harden over time as more cars drive on them, but so far the only reduction we have seen is in less gravel on the road, and I'm inclined to attribute the physical relocation as opposed to roadway hardening, as the gravel gets stuck to the car tire and truck tires and slung off the road as vehicles drive by. This road work was done by supervised prisoners with equipment that the county purchased for this road. We are concerned that the road workers were learning the process as they did the work, concerned that no licensed engineer was involved in the process to pass off on the training performed, the proper use of equipment, the method of surface application, or to inspect the surface, the finished product. I hope the county understands that we doubt the longevity of this fix. Number 5, diminished lack and trust of our county public works. The mission statement for Effingham County Public Works reads, as on the website, our mission is to make a positive difference in the quality of life of Effingham County residents with outstanding performance in repairing and maintaining the public right-of-ways. Our customer satisfaction goals are met by our conscious effort of looking for issues that can be improved upon while we're in the area. We at Red Maple Estates feel that this mission statement could not be further from what we experience from the county regarding our roadways. Our proposed solutions: item 1, seal the entire roadway with an engineer-approved method. Number 2, clearly define the edges of the roadway based on good roadway design to allow adequate width. Item 3, seal in or remove all coal ash along the edges of the roadway and in the portions of our driveway that lay in the county right-of-way. Number 4, assure the residents that the repairs will last. If the repairs will not last, create a schedule for roadway to repair to allow residents to hold the county, to allow us to hold the county responsible. Number 5, as part of the judgment on whether or not the human resources of Effingham County are adequate to address this problem, we request a cost-benefit analysis comparing Effingham County performing the maintenance work versus contracting the work out to a competent subcontractor. Specifically, whether Effingham County's projected costs for these repairs thus far fall in line with the projected costs from the meeting on January 16th of this year.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for a very clear and concise analysis from your community.
Okay.
Any questions, discussions from you on the board?
I want to make some comments.
Okay.
Thank you, Adam, for your input here and the information you provided. To answer one question you had in part 5, your proposed solutions, yes, definitely contracting out the work to a competent contractor is much higher than we could do in-house. One of our goals were, we looked at that, we priced it out, actually had a crew in the north end and a crew in the south end going at the same time. But once we got the pricing, it was extremely high. And what we've done, we've tried to do what we can. We can't predict the weather, but we've tried to do what we've done so far within our budget that we currently have. Because we do not want to raise taxes. We do recognize that this is not a 20-year plan that we're doing, but we're trying to make these roads passable in the meantime. Just on, as far as, and this is just a number of commissioners you may be interested in, but in the last 12 months, we spent 536 hours on Beecher Drive in Red Maple. And we spent 240 hours just on the patchwork for Beecher Drive. Other things include cleaning out some outfall ditches and some other various things. I've spoken with Mike that lives on Beecher Drive as well. Mike let me know that there are some issues with outfall ditches. And I've already spoken with Clyde with EOM. We are going to look at that as well. To say, I tell you the 536, just to let you know, we have been giving attention to this area. Obviously, there's some more attention that needs to be given, but we have tried to make an effort to do something. I've ridden down the road before. Beecher Drive was one of the first roads we went and looked at immediately after the winter storm, and it definitely was damaged. And that's one reason why I tried to get Beecher Drive and Maple on the first round for District 3 to get some improvement there. As far as the curves on the road, I know you said it is too narrow. It's 17 feet wide on the curves. That's as wide as the base of the road is. So that's as far out as we could go, because when we were doing this, if we went out any further, it was just going to be material aggregate on dirt, and that definitely would not follow. So I hear what you're saying. We do still have some more work to do. We try to make an effort to do it, but we'll see what we can get done.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
Isolated, just that, I mean, we have roads all over the county. I have one very soon with the commissioner relations that it's the constant battle.
Yeah, and if I could just have a couple comments too, we appreciate your heart in this and wanting to get it corrected, but first of all, just to bring this up to how we got here, I know you understand that no one on this board put the ash on the roads. And it was an approved substance, and notice as you make some comments, it was an approved substance at the time by EPD for roads. So my previous commission on the board, because the material they thought would be great to get all these dirt roads with high maintenance with a hard surface. It didn't work out that well, did it, when it started raining and getting cold. We did a study of the toxicity of that because we wanted to protect our citizens. everything in the ground has a measure of arsenic and lead, everything does. So the study came back that it was all well below the limits of any kind of issues or any kind of concern. So we did that to care about our citizens. We probably had to because we didn't believe it was. And so, but we wanted to verify and make sure it wasn't going to create some issues. It wasn't happening.
We never heard back any results of the study.
We can provide that for you. I'll make
Okay, that would be
I've got a copy of
Yeah.
the study here. I've got a new
So
copy.
we spent about, I want to say, 20 grand or something to.
And they were presented at our meeting.
It presented our meetings, we presented, went over it, and that's what we felt good about that. So we did that study, and then we looked for a way, because I want to say the numbers came in like $40 million or something to move, to grind up, it was just astronomical. We don't have our whole budget, including our capital budget, is $50 million, so we can have $40 million without doubling everybody's taxes tomorrow. So we looked for an economic way, and that's what we did. We talked to engineers, we did get their recommendations that the chip and seal would be the fastest way to seal this so before we get to a winter, we've got all the worst areas of the field, which is your area. And hopefully we have sealed that, but that's not the end all. We're hoping to go back eventually and put either more sealant. We got equipment so we can, if it has an area that starts showing, we can redo it as well. And we hope to put an asphalt surface in, but this is going to take some years to plan and strategize. So we're not done.
Okay, what is the plan right now for the coal ash that's exposed on our road right now? Because when I called attention to the public works when they were out there and pointed out sections that were still exposed, they shrugged their shoulders. For example, in the driveway, I was told, well, they didn't have the equipment to seal in the stuff that's in the driveway. I'm talking about the beginning of the driveway on the county side of the center of the ditch line.
I'll have to look at the drive. I drove the road actually yesterday.
Okay.
For this meeting. I didn't see any exposure on the road itself. I drove it through the cul-de-sac and everything. Because I too was concerned, but it was a lot of loose gravel. I saw that. I saw some patch, work that was still there, but I didn't see that the road was not in a reasonable condition for an area where the only one that's going to go down that road is going to be the residents and their guests and the postal service, because it's a dead road.
Mhm.
So we can't move it up the priority on some of the other roads right now. But we'll continue to watch it, monitor it, and look at your recommendations, and we'll get you some reports and see what we can do to help you. I'm in there about the shoulders. I was looking at the kind of the main drag as I went down. So I'll go back and look at the driveways as well and see if there's anything we can do with that.
Yes.
Overall, I was pleased with what we've done to resolve before this winter rain came in, freezing ice. That was, you shouldn't have the mess on the bottom of your cars anymore. I believe we've resolved that, which was our biggest concern.
Is the new patches going is that going to harden up even more? Because right now you can still go by and I can scuff the stuff up with my shoe.
Yeah, I didn't know, you talked about a washboard. I didn't know it was a washboard. I mean,
There's a section of washboard. I have a nice picture of it if you want to see
I
it.
rode it, I didn't feel it. I must have, I
Okay.
didn't feel any of it. So, but yeah, I don't like chip and seal. I tell people get away from chip and seal. It's an expensive way to seal your roads at this time.
Honestly, I don't have a problem with the chip and seal. That's an effective method for doing it, and it's definitely recommended by EPA, as long as it's done correctly and it's done effectively and it's done all the way to the edges of the road. I understand what you're saying about the edges crumbling, but as long as the coal ash continues to crumble, you can't apply the chip and seal. The road's just going to get narrower and narrower and narrower. So what's the plan for dealing with
I
that?
think the chip and seal was done to the edge of the coal ash. He's talking about when you go beyond that, you've got dirt and you wouldn't last.
There were sections where they repaired it, that there is still exposed coal ash on the edge of the roadway. And I think the problem was that at the time that the roadway was resealed, the grass was this tall, and I had 8-foot tall sweet gums in the ditch because the ditches hadn't been mowed for a long time. And I just don't think that the road crew was aware of how far out the coal ash went.
Okay, well, we will take the report and review, study it, and look at that show that you're talking about. I did not look at that, was out there, but we'll try to see what else we can continue to help.
Okay. I believe I put my address. I can leave you with my address. If you are in the area, feel free to give me a call, and I will walk you through.
If you start there, that'd be great. Okay. You got some reports. Do you want to add something to this?
Yes, sir.
You come to the microphone.
I'll look at one
You
second.
come to the microphone, please.
You're approaching on your next appearance.
Yeah, real quick, because we got a next appearance at 5:20. We already passed it.
My name is Nicole Casto. I live at 117 Beecher Drive, and actually I've been hit in the face by those rocks with cars driving by, checking my mail. It's kind of a safety hazard, honestly. It's not safe. So I just wanted that to be known.
Thank you. All right. Appreciate it. It was a good report.
Thank you, Al, for bringing that.
Our next appearance tonight is Green. Come on now.
Good evening. Thank you all for having us. We are here in regards to Staffordshire subdivision in an effort of time. If there's specific questions, please feel free to ask, but I'll try to jump through pretty quickly. We started the process of what we were looking to do in January of 2017. Met here several times. We're asked to perform a study to determine what's causing some of the flooding and backup. We've done that. Effingham Bell has performed the study. We met with Mr. McAfee and Amanda Clement in August to go over that. We've done that. I was following up for quite some time since then, trying to figure out what the next steps are and what we need to do. Obviously, she's since left, and her last suggestion, which she tied Ms. Johnson into, who helped me out to get this set up, was just to come present that we'd like to move forward, and whatever suggestions you guys have to move it forward, to get back on track, to get our request heard. We'll be very grateful for that. I've got Hal Kraft, our engineer at Effingham Bell. The information that was, the data that was retrieved from the information that was sent. If you guys have had a chance to review, if you have any specific questions, he can certainly answer that.
I did review it. Commissioners may have some comments or thoughts or questions about it tonight. We need to just, I didn't realize our staff had this because they were working, I'm sure, but they've left, so we'll have to kind of back up a little bit now. It looks like we still have a flooding problem, flooding issue, but they're showing some ditching that could be done, perhaps that would eliminate that. It looked like there were some issues going between the gas treating facility where there wasn't enough drop, and there maybe something needs to be done there as well. And I guess I'm gonna have some questions that Lee will have to answer for us, our county attorney and staff, about these easements and these additional ditches that may resolve. Whose responsibility and liability? I don't know the answer to those questions. Is that something that you guys would provide if we? I'm raising questions I don't know the answers to. Do we get the easements, or do you do the ditches?
All I'm really looking for is to be able to have that discussion with you and figure out what we do next.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
because I don't have the answers to that. I mean, we can't go on somebody else's property and start digging a ditch.
right.
You know.
I would like to clear to that level where we can get together, maybe meet with them and have Lee involved to help us really know what we can legally do. From that standpoint, because not only is this going to help you have additional development, it's going to help our citizens who are already standing on foot.
Do we have a workshop or
Yeah.
just ask us later?
You want to go ahead and try to schedule a workshop?
You would rather do a workshop than just a meeting?
Or you want to just have a couple of us meet?
Well, I think if we could have the meeting that we already had with Mr. McAfee and Ms. Clement, that might kind of jumpstart it for y'all, and then Hal can present everything with his
I think
findings.
that'd be good, without having a quorum, can we have one or two commissioners to join me in that meeting?
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, sure.
Just in the,
Roger, you too?
Two. Big boxes.
And how many can we have without a quorum?
3,
3 and myself, or just 3?
just 3.
Okay. So right now, Roger's volunteering, I heard Jamie volunteering, so we'll do that in. So who you guys?
Yeah, we probably need to identify the neighboring landowners that may need to be a party, to a part of it.
Well, I was thinking if you could meet with them and find out what we can legally do.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe sit with the staff and find the landowners, do some talking,
Mhm.
get purchase easements or whatever. It's not like resolve for the current folks too, that
Yeah.
helps you guys have some development as well.
Yeah, but we're just looking forward to move it forward and get it fixed. So should I just email Ms. Johnson tomorrow and just,
You can, she's got some dates when I'm available, she
Okay.
can check with the other folks, and we'll see if we can't schedule something. Get folks.
Okay.
Help you out with this.
all right, thank you all very much.
Thank you, appreciate
Appreciate
it.
it.
We have one more presentation tonight at 5:30, we're a couple minutes early, but if Jeffrey Helm's here, we can go ahead. So how many people?
Good evening.
Easy.
First, I want to thank the committee for taking the time to hear my concerns tonight, and along with Mr. Kiefer, and to the supervisor that was doing work on my road for returning the call promptly, for answering the questions I had in advance of the night. So thank y'all very much. I'll have a short statement with a couple of questions at the end, so there might be something worded as a question in my statement, so just be patient with me. To put it simply, there's a subdivision that was approved to be built on one end of Long Pond Road, which is the same road that I live on. With the understanding it will accommodate up to 22 homes to be allowed without major improvements to Long Pond itself. When I voiced my concern a few weeks past, no one has yet started a repair from the ice storm earlier in the year. Since, parts of the road has been repaired, but not all. My worry now is the parts of the road that did not get repaired, along with the construction type vehicles and work trucks, along with the 2+ vehicles plus per house that will be built, that will be traveling on Long Pond Road. It won't take long before it's in bad shape again, even with the new patchwork that's going on now. First question, and is there a plan to upgrade Long Pond to handle such traffic that is coming in the near future?
I don't know, it'd be current,
Well,
temporary plan, or is it long-term plan?
I know y'all not miracle workers here, but you don't have to be able to see into the future to see a 1 mile long road that's on one end that's approved to have a subdivision built with already 22 lots available to purchase to handle that much more traffic on a rock, this ash covered type road is ridiculous. Because the road that's being built right now that's dumping in on Long Pond is going to be 10 times better than what Long Pond is. So I don't understand how that can be approved without somebody on y'all's end saying, if we're going to allow this nice road to dump into Long Pond, we got to do something to Long Pond itself.
What's the name of the subdivision?
I'm not sure. It's in the early stages of the infrastructure.
But the subdivision is on Long Pond?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And it was approved, I believe, before my time.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not against the subdivision at all. That's not bothering me. I'm more concerned with the added traffic to Long Pond and concerned if there's going to be a plan in the near future to handle such traffic. But right now, I don't see how it could last.
It's a good question, you know, what Mr. Kiefer showed now, because I didn't call that, because before his time, it's definitely my time. So if it's a subdivision that's already been platted and approved, we got to go back and look.
It's under construction now.
Yeah, it's like in the infrastructure stage. The road has been graded. Looks like it's got some really nice ditches that I wish we would have on Long Pond, already graded. You know, like I said, I know things can't be decided here tonight. I just want my voice to be heard that soon, and that there is going to be issues on Long Pond because of the added traffic. And if you're not familiar with the location of Long Pond, it's a 1 mile long stretch that connects 4th Street to Old Augusta.
I think we're all familiar with this, it's a cut-through road.
Yeah, it's a cut-through road, which is really not that big of a deal for cut-through. But if you add that much more traffic, and probably 75% of the people in the county work in the Chatham. So they're going to travel the entire length of Long Pond to get to Old Augusta to go to Chatham. And I can't fault them for that because I would do the same thing. I luckily live on the corner of Old Augusta and Long Pond. But my
Also a couple of other folks that live on the road, honestly, they're a little apprehensive about fully upgrading into a 2-lane, full-blown road, just for more traffic. Now, I'm not saying we're not, I'm just putting that out there because that was a concern.
Well, me and Mr. Herb is totally for it. Y'all know
Talked to
Herb.
him too. I told him.
He would have loved to be here tonight, but y'all know how his ear is. So.
Yeah, I spoke to him Friday.
Okay.
He seemed, happy with what we've done thus far when I talked to him. Talked to another couple that live further down, really at the other end, close to the other end. They want it fixed, like it is, but not. They're apprehensive, like I said, about a 2-lane road, full-blown 2-lane road.
Well, that's neither here nor there. I just don't think the ash road itself is going to be able to accommodate such traffic with the approval of this size of the subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have thought that kind of process would have come for somebody in the county to let that happen if you're not gonna provide access to the 4th Street itself instead of dumping onto a ash road like Long Pond. That's my biggest concern.
And it is a concern. I mean, the standards now for subdivisions are higher than many of the roads, most of the roads.
Oh, it's gonna be nice, I can tell that already.
I know, and that's a challenge. That is a challenge,
Okay.
there's no doubt.
And I guess, y'all understand my concern there. I think I may have emailed you on this, and I apologize if I was short, but, 90% of the road has been repaired. Maybe not 90%. All 3 of the ends of the road, there's the end that the subdivision on Wise and dumps off twice onto 4th Street, and my end on Old Augusta. The last 100 or so feet of all 3 exits off the road was untouched by the repairs. And they were like some of the worst damage as far as the seepage from the freeze. And I don't quite understand why. I know money's the issue, but I still don't understand why
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
you just don't do it all. The road is a mile long, 1.1 mile long. So why not do the whole road, is me thinking out loud here.
I'll definitely run through this, we'll look at it again. I cut through there a few times.
And that's okay.
And so there's a lot to talk about, see, I think what Keeper said about the idea of you put it on a big list and you actually.
I guess, like I said, I know y'all not miracle workers. My goal here tonight was to, if I have to come back here 5 years from now when this road hadn't been touched, y'all can't say y'all didn't know.
That's right, well.
That's where I'm at right now.
Even though the subdivision was approved, probably not when the ash road they thought was fine, when they went on previous commission approved it. But certainly, looking at it, now we'll see what that does to our priority list and give you that portion.
All right. Well,
Always have
and-
those on our priorities.
One last comment. I agree with everything that the first gentleman had to say tonight. He had one heck of a presentation. And my road is already washboarding too. That wasn't part of what I had, but I'm just following up on what he said. And it's not very safe driving on the washboard road.
Yeah, we probably look at it, make sure that nothing motions is being put down to seal it, like I assume it is. Like with our-
Thank y'all for y'all's time.
How far are we through? Are we about halfway through? There's roads that haven't been touched.
Oh, no, we're not close to that.
So that's what I was thinking.
We have-
May and June really push us back with the rain every day.
Right. So there's roads, I mean, I understand the concern, but there's roads that still haven't had any road.
We've got, I forgot, over 100 and something miles, we're trying to get 40 done, I think, worst. We're about to finish the 20 miles, that's a lot of miles. But. Okay, thank you, sir, thank you everybody who participated in that. Move to our old business. First item of old business is consideration to approve 3 easement agreements between Effingham County Board of Commissioners and Southern Telecom Incorporated.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this item was previously tabled by the board pending additional information as requested by Commissioner Garnett. I believe your questions have been answered and satisfied. Is that correct? Okay. So staff is recommending approval for these 3 easements requested from Southern Telecom Incorporated. There are 3 properties in the county that is county owned that this fiber will be going over. You have the additional documentation in your materials. Staff recommends approval.
Lee, you got any concerns?
Yeah, just one thing. There's going to be a slight change on the first page. We're going to incorporate a reference to the existing easement plots, just to clarify the dimensions of this easement, but that's the only thing.
Just going to reference the previous.
Yeah, we're just going to insert that language into I think it's the first paragraph.
Okay. We need to add that to the motion to change the language in the first paragraph.
Please.
So if you have any discussion, questions first? We have a motion to approve the 3 easements as presented with the language being changed in the first paragraph per our county attorney.
So moved.
Second.
First one, Mr. Deloach, second, Mr. Kiefer. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Any carries? Thank you. Policy update, consideration to approve updates to various county policies, item number 2, tabled at October 16th.
Good evening, Vicki Dunn, Director of HR. On the commission meeting on October 16th, I presented 5 policies for your approval. Policies were not new policies, they were simply revisions to current policies we had in place. The revisions were based on changes in laws and procedures. You asked at that meeting that I provide you with the red line copies of the policies that I had changed so you could compare what were in the old policies and the new policies. I sent those to you on October 22nd. And also, while reviewing the policies for the red line copies, I've noted that the policy 6.10, the vehicle use, care, and maintenance, I did not send that or re-forward that to y'all because I found additional items that needed attention before I brought it back to you for approval. The policies that you've got now are the revisions and with showing the red lines. Is there any questions about any of the policies that y'all read or the questions why it was changed?
The bonus was an addition, right?
Yes, sir, that was an addition. That was discussed with our previous finance director and with previous commissioners.
And other than that, there were no other,
That's correct.
they all just being.
Federal law, basically, yes, sir.
Any discussion or questions about the policies as you read them?
I make a motion to approve the policy updates as presented.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Burdette. Approve the policy updates as presented. It's going to be alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Move to new business. So I thought the meeting scheduled for 6. I thought the meeting scheduled for 6 or 7.
Yes, sir, 6 o'clock.
Just checking our time schedule out here. Item number 1, under new business, consideration to approve an employment contract for Chris Hutchins for position of interim county administrator. Do you have a motion tonight? Any discussion? Everybody had a chance to read the contract? Okay, have a motion?
I make a motion to approve Chris's contract as presented.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Floyd, to approve the contract as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Chris, good to have you on board. Thank you for all you've been doing, and all the updates, and I hope you already realize you've got a lot going on now.
Yes, sir, I do. It's a whirlwind.
Sounds good. But we appreciate you being on board, appreciate you helping us through this. All right, item number 2, public hearing on the upcoming 2019 comprehensive plan update. So I guess we'll open a public hearing on this comprehensive plan update.
Well, before we do, Mr. Chairman, if I could provide a little information, this is a requirement submitted via BCA that we have this public hearing. It's just to give information to the public about the update, the upcoming update for 2019, and that this update actually suggests, encourages citizen participation. So there will be additional information that will come forward as time goes on, and there will be other public hearings, sessions done by BCA that the public can participate in.
Is there any information you want to provide tonight other than that we're going to be looking for public participation?
Just that we're looking for public participation at the appropriate time. Yes, sir.
For those who are not aware, that's every 10 years we have to do a comprehensive plan update. Pretty much with every decennial census we have to do that. And it requires we work with our local governments, cities and counties, so we don't cross water lines, sewer lines, we don't double tax, we're more equitable in services we provide. Key language in the statute is to be efficient and responsive. And I think that's what this board is always trying to do. So we look forward to your participation. That we are opening the public hearing. Any comments or questions about the comprehensive plan? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing.
Public stakeholder meetings, because I know we're having a study completed with joint with the municipalities. Will they do the meetings individually, the stakeholder meetings, or will all be conducted together as one?
I think it's together, Commissioner.
Yeah, I would think that they would meet with each city individually and us individually, because we have some issues that don't do the other, then they bring us together. Is what I think would be a little bit better. They may not, but I think we have more to comprehend and connect with than the cities would. Just my thought. So will we be publicly advertising those public hearings or those workshops? That public
Yes.
Okay. Item number 3, an agreement, consideration to approve an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Springfield and the Board of Commissioners of Effingham County to release property located at 700 North Tryon Street.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the city of Springfield currently holds traffic court at their administrative offices on Laurel Street, and the city is in need of additional space and security to hold their traffic court. So they have spoken with the courts at the judicial complex. An agreement has been presented, which has been reviewed and approved by the county attorney. The agreement is outlined, its binding date is the date that is signed by the chairman, and the effective date will be January 1 of 2019 through June 30th of 2019. So there's an initial period of just 6 months, and then they're requesting automatic renewal with further action, without further action of the board on July 1, with these renewals succeeding for a 50-year period.
1 year renewal for 50 years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the agreement as written states that the city will pay a $500 a month rental fee.
And 10% of all fines collected.
And that's not.
We already do that.
That's good. For the jail.
The use of the facility will be 2 days per month. And again, it has been reviewed and approved by the county attorney.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful if we can help our sister cities out. So, Mr. Bennett, would you like to introduce yourself and make any comments?
Just here for any questions.
Are y'all giving out that many more tickets? Y'all need a bigger corporate?
No comment. No. It's largely the security thing. In this day and age, as everybody knows, it's all the security components are built in there. Deputies are already there throughout the day. The idea was to just use that facility rather than trying to duplicate it. I think the reason for the 6-month initial contracts to get on the calendar year going forward with the county or y'all's fiscal year, I apologize, so that it is in line with your budget so you can plan for it. So.
And what's your court times?
I don't remember right offhand. We're going to end up changing it when we move over here and doing like a morning court similar to how state court does it, but we have coordinated with Judge Thompson and the sheriff, and we're actually already on their calendar for 2019, assuming this all gets approved, that'll roll forward. So basically, we're gonna work around whatever calendar, whatever dates state court wants us to.
Yeah, I mentioned that just so I heard it. I understand it would really be the cost of it. I don't really the cost really because if it's going to be done during our normal hours.
Normal hours, yes, sir.
And our security's already there, the kids are already there.
Just to help cover some overhead, I think.
Sounds good. Any questions or discussion? Got a motion to approve alternative number 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Burdette. Approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 4, new business, consideration to approve the purchase of property located at Highway 119 and Archer Road for a future fire station location, and authorize the chairman to sign the land purchase and sale deed and other closing documents. Mr. Knapp?
Good evening, Cliff Hodges. This property, just a little background, as I'm sure you're aware, April 2014 is here. The board voted to issue the 12-month termination with the city of Guyton for fire protection. As such, we've been looking for properties in that area. So this particular property came available since the last meeting. It's a little over 3 acres of property, and the fair market value is over $24,000, but it's listed at $14,000 being able to foreclosure. So we looked at the maps on the property. It's actually even more favorable as far as ISO than the way is now, because it will cover all of Woodham Call Road, all the subdivisions, but additionally, it'll cover additional areas down Riverside Drive and Old Louisville that were currently Class 10 that will actually go to a more favorable ISO rating. There won't be any houses that go, that lose their ISO coverage, but there will be additional ones with this location.
So my ISOs will go down and go up.
Will that help us out there with reclassification if we have plans to put a station or it has to actually be built already in service?
It'll have to be in
That
service.
goes into account. Okay. Well, good job on finding this. This was a good deal.
Excellent, thank you, sir. Any questions, discussion? Motion to approve alternative number one.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion Mr. Ford, second Mr. Keith, to approve alternative number one. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Consideration to approve to authorize an application for ACCG 2019 internship.
Yes, sir. Each year, the Civic Affairs Foundation of ACCG offers grants to counties to hire summer interns. We received the information approximately 2 months ago. We sent the information out to department heads to see if there would be any interested in having a paid internship during the summer in 2019. We did have 2 departments that responded that they would like to apply for the grants. Staff is recommending that we allow the departments to proceed with the application for the 2019 ACC Summer Internship Program. They basically pay $10 an hour and they'll give you 200 hours for each internship.
So no funding necessarily from us.
That's correct, no funding at all.
First thing I saw, I like that.
Yeah.
I like the intern, that's good. Any questions, discussion? Motion to approve alternative number one.
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Burdette, approve alternative number one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Consideration to approve group major medical insurance coverage for 2019 year.
Yes, sir. Our Blue Cross Blue Shield medical insurance, all of our Blue Cross Blue Shield insurances terminate as of December 31st of 2018. Our USI, which is our insurance broker, went out with bids to bid out all of our insurances. We did receive quotes from United Healthcare and Humana. The first quote we received from Blue Cross Blue Shield was 23.4% increase over what we were currently paying. The United Healthcare and Humana's quote came in actually lower than Blue Cross Blue Shield. Our broker went back to Blue Cross Blue Shield and renegotiated with them. They've gotten our renewal rate down to 17%. Looking at some of the, we did a complete study of what our employees are paying, what we're paying, and the stipend that we now offer for our employees to use towards some of their benefits. During this time, Mr. Hutchings came on board, and he is going to speak to you a little bit about HRAs, but as far as the information that y'all received during our separate sessions, in front of you, you have this sheet that's got all of the options available that we discussed, options A, B, C, D, E, and F. E and F were the latest ones added. Those are the ones that are HRAs that Mr. Hutchings will discuss.
Option E, an HRA is where you take basically a higher cost deductible insurance plan. And the county basically self-funds the difference in the higher deductible versus what the standard, what the old deduction was. Typically, counties can save 5 to 10% of their insurance cost by taking that. It's been implemented in 4 counties, and 2 of them, they've taken that. We looked at it here, and we are kind of comparing it with option C, which is what we talked about the other day with commissioners. And compared with option C, it would save some more money. About, if you look at the bottom line, it's about $365,000 savings to the county in option C. And if you move across to option D, the HRA would save, the increased cost would be $365,000. Option E, the increased cost would be $293,000. So that's about $70,000 more per year savings to the county by going with the HRA. The concern we have, though, is that it's not an apples-to-apples plan. the HRA plan offered by Blue Cross Blue Shield would have higher office visit payments, higher emergency room payments, and higher drug payments for employees. So it's really not comparing apples to apples. I think we are in agreement that we just look at an HRA for next year and probably line up the HRA plan to be customized more like Effingham County is used to in its co-pays. So I think we're still recommending option C tonight.
That's the, option C is the one that we discussed.
Yes, sir, it was. And there's also a sheet in your package you should have that it looks like this. And what that does is it has all of our current rates for our benefits, what the new rates will be, and what a kind of an increase it is to the employees.
Well, I definitely feel better about option C. High deductibles definitely makes me nervous for our employees, and I think we've got some great folks working for us. And one caveat to that is, we do have a great benefits package, and I don't want to make too many changes in 1 year. I think option C is a good way to segue into that.
Our annual increase would be $365,000. Is that the annual increase?
Yes, sir, it would, but it would only be half of that for the remaining 6 months. Yes, sir. And according to our interim finance director, money is available, so we're not. That's a plus.
Flashlight is right so small I can't see it.
Sorry.
We had talked about the carve out.
Yes, sir.
Doing which will make the board make sure they're on, because we weren't on the same discussion.
Yes, sir.
There is, in our current insurance, if you have a spouse who is employed, that their employer provides insurance, we pay a pretty good portion of that for our employee. There's an equity issue, in my opinion, for compensation if you don't have a spouse or your spouse, whatever, we're covering folks. We talked about carving that out for those who actually had insurance through their employer, but those who didn't have it, we would still keep the same, basically the same package, we pay the same percentages. And we talked about in our meeting, not doing that this year necessarily, but we need to be thinking about that process. Many counties and cities have changed that to make it more equitable for the compensation for all the staff. So we pay you one thing that will give you more insurance benefit than you because you're not married, And so we need to look at that as a savings for us down the road. We talked about a form.
Yes, sir.
That we would identify. Is that part of this?
Yeah, I have the form developed. Yes, sir. We can send that out at any time. So we're ready with that part.
In our group, we were talking about that form being presented to them, showing that in the
But not for
future.
this year.
No, sir.
Well, I had recommended we do something nominal just to make them see it. Sometimes you don't even see it, but you don't have to put a nominal amount on there. Because sometimes they have to check a box that's going to cost them $5 or $10 more. They don't even read it sometimes. But I do think it's something that will substantially reduce our insurance costs in the future.
Yes, sir.
Very material. Could bring this down to $268 right away, possibly. Because our experience might go down, people recovery go down, and obviously we will not be covering a certain sector that already has good insurance. So there's a double dipping there, and we just want to I want to make sure that form is in place, make sure the commission agrees maybe that form should be in place.
I agree with you. I think we definitely need to do it, but I'd like to see us have that communication this year, just in case if there's anybody or their spouse, they've already done the enrollment process now, it's not a curveball to them, but have that form this year, it's clear communication.
So I think that's what I agree with. If you have that form in place, make sure we start communicating employees now, so this time
Yes,
next
sir.
year, they won't say what they see coming. Once again, we're not going to hurt anybody by doing that, in my opinion, because they've got good insurance with their employee. We still have good insurance.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
What's the bottom line cost of the taxpayers? The increase.
$368 on an annual basis. And the current budget is half of that. I think that's something.
I mean, as much as I agree with Commissioner Loach on taking care of the employees, I want to take care of the taxpayers.
But now, is there going to be an increase or a reduction in stipend? And
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're going to recoup some there also, right?
Yes, sir, we are. We're reducing the stipend right now. Each employee gets $168 a month for a stipend to use towards benefits. We're reducing that stipend to $100 per month, which would be $50 for the first and second pay period. So we are saving some money there as well.
This is our cost after savings.
And that's what I like about it, I believe the employees are.
It'd be like 500,000 if we had done some changes or something.
Because if we do the same thing as 569,000 increase, the going with option C is 365.
Their sacrifices on both sides.
But I use a little bit of stipend, we can reduce that, but still give them the top coverage they need.
Is it-
I'm concerned about the carve-out, not the fact that it's going to help budget-wise for the county, but the fact, the impression people they would have, you know, you can apply for having a spouse. Do you think that the rising costs are going to make them look at these policies and weigh that possibly look at their spouse's policies and move around, or do you think we need that carve-out to engage them to do that? Yes. Starting to get them a negative impression of, okay, I'm married, kind of get penalized for being married.
Well, actually, we're penalizing if you're not married, because we're not giving you the same compensation, we're giving extra compensation to someone who's married. So I'm saying that was my concern, there's an equity on the other side as well. So you improve the equity across all your compensation, and you reduce your insurance premium cost. But I'm with Commissioner Deloach that I'm sorry, it's nominal, but I'm talking nothing because nominal doesn't really do much. But we just need to communicate it because it is an area we need to get the equity right. We need to adjust that. I think in the future. So it's a discussion for the future, but do you form, do you have a?
Yes, sir.
And it needs to know that if you have this, coverage may be limited in the future for spouses.
Yes, sir.
A note to that effect.
Mhm.
Sound fair? Okay. So we have a motion to, here we're saying we need a motion to approve option C.
Yes, sir.
The inclusion of that form.
Yes, sir.
So moved.
I've got to find.
Yes, actually, alternative three is on C. Who's the third one?
All right, make a motion to approve alternative 3.
What's an option C?
This alternative.
Oh, I got you.
It's option C, alternative 3.
Yeah, make a motion to approve alternative 3, which is option C.
Very good. We need a matrix. Motion, Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Burdette. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And that was option C, number 3, right?
Yeah.
My notes.
Yes, it's 6 o'clock also.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Ward, thank you so much for working on that, finding a good, workable.
Sir?
Thank you for working on that, finding a good workable solution for our staff and for our budget. Appreciate it so much. Okay, we are at 6 o'clock, so we probably need to go into our public hearing, so we'll start with item number 6, pick up on number 7 in just a minute. Okay, our planning is on the table.
Bring that screen up.
Okay.
Just want to do this. 5 minutes?
Yeah, I'll take a 5-minute break, and use the restroom, what we do, and come back. Please, in 5 minutes, we can contribute to these public hearings. Another will not take too long to public hearings, so we have a agenda on tonight. Public hearings. Okay, we're in order. Planning board, public hearing, item number 1, the planning board recommends approval, approving the application by the First Baptist Church of Norway Incorporated for a conditional use to allow for a cemetery in AR1 zoning district located at 2229 Central Avenue, map number 297B, parcel number 28 in the first district.
That's me, I'm putting on the other tab now.
Clerk is going to be our zoning director tonight.
Yes, sir. As you stated, as a request to allow for a cemetery, which is a conditional use in an AR1 zone. The planning board recommended approval with the staff recommendation. They also asked that someone speak with the health department to determine the minimum distance for a cemetery from a septic or well. That information was found out and that distance was determined to be 100 feet. So the planning board recommended approval with the cemetery being an accessory use to the church and the determination of the 100 feet minimum distance for a well and septic.
Okay, so planning board's recommendation with the 100 feet. We'll open a public hearing. Anyone here tonight speaking for this conditional use?
Staying 100 feet would be redundant, wouldn't it? Because the state that's law.
It's state law, that's right.
Okay.
It's almost redundant.
Anyone speaking against? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any discussion from the board? You turn the motion.
Make a motion to approve with final staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second Mr. Roach, to approve staff and planning board recommendations. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Second reading, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by First Baptist Church of Marlow Incorporated for a conditional use to allow for a cemetery in the R1 zoning district located at 2229 Central Avenue, map number 297B, Austin, 21st District. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Deloach, to approve the second reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 3, planning board recommends approving an application by Andy Cadwell to rezone 4.5 acres located at 989 Pitts Road, AR1 to R2, map number 352, parcel 19, First District.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, again, as stated, the property is to be rezoned from AR1 to AR2 to subdivide the property. There is a mobile home and a single-family home on this property, and I'm assuming the subdivision is, it's to allow for the single-family story brick home to be sold with a separate lot from the existing mobile home property. Planning board and staff recommended approval, same stipulations.
Open public hearing. Anyone here speaking for this rezoning application? Come forward and state your name. Are these on a separate well?
I'm sorry.
Are these on county water or separate well separation?
They are, right now, there's one well, a septic tank for each one. The well is going to go with the mobile home. That well and septic tank, and we're going to put a well on the where the brick home is. But I want to bring to your attention, that's not 989 Pitts Road. On this agenda, it's 989. On the other, the address is actually 281 Noel C. Conway Road.
Okay, how does that affect?
Depends on how it was advertised.
How was it advertised? Do you have that?
I'll have to verify it. Give me just a second and see if I can get into the development services drive.
So the correct address is 281
281 Noel C. Conway Road in Guyton.
Noel C. Conway Road?
Yes, sir.
While she's doing that, Lee, is there any issue with approving this
Contingent.
on the well? Is there any issues that we need to be thinking about there?
I'm not sure what you're asking me.
Well, we got one well that serves both lots. And fixing to buy the lots, so somebody could buy that brick home and not having water. Have we done anything? I'm not sure you're gonna put a well.
I'm going to put a well.
But does that need to be done first? Is there any issue there?
Wesley, also, county water is running there also, but we're not going to tie into the county water. We're going to put a well on the property.
Okay, there is drinking water there.
If the county water, I think you got time.
Yeah, but that's another question then. So if you're disconnecting from a well, Can you put a well in if you have time to count water?
I'd have to look at that.
Well, that's fine, we can tie an account, just one way or another, the expense is there, so,
I just don't know, I want to prove it the right way. I don't think there's any opposition to what you're trying to do.
well, that's fine, we'll tie in the county water if we got to tie in the county water, that's no problem.
The question is, do we advertise the rights to people who want to speak against it, but worry about it?
The advertisement was improper for 281 Knoll C. Conway Road.
281 North C. Conway.
That's how it's advertised? So we're good. Okay.
I'm thinking what probably happened is staff reports are regenerated and that address probably didn't get changed from a previous staff report.
Very good. So, the zoning board is recommending to approve this application to subdivide this lot. If we have a water issue, we need to add anything? If we want to take a motion to approve tonight, do we need to add anything? About the water?
He said he would tie in the county water style.
We changed that, if it's
a hardship.
I cannot recall
How many feet?
how it's written, but I believe we changed it where if it was a single home.
I thought it was based off distance from the...
Regardless, it has nothing to do with this rezoning,
Correct.
but.
Before you dig a well,
Yeah,
should they be talking about?
Okay. So I guess I just want to put on alert to make sure we check and make sure we do the water the correct way. If you dig a well and then not get permitted because it didn't comply, you know? So, fair enough, we're on the alert. Okay. Any other comments or?
Mr. Chairman, if we get approval, when will the variance or the zoning take place, the new zoning? When will it be approved for us to go ahead and divide the property?
As soon as I sign the document, I guess I'll have it tomorrow.
You have to have two readings, and if it's approved unanimous tonight, we'll have the second reading tonight.
Okay.
It'll be done.
I'm Matt Anderson. I'm going to subdivide it. I'm a registered land surveyor, so we thought about beginning work as early as tomorrow, if that was the case.
We'll get a second reading in a minute. If we get the best first reading, then I can sign it tomorrow. I don't know if I can sign it tomorrow. I'll be around tomorrow. I'll be around Thursday. I can sign it Thursday.
But
Okay.
you'll have the approval tonight, so you can start.
That's just a formality.
Okay. All right, anyone here speaking against this rezoning application? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions, discussion from the board? A motion to approve the planning board staff recommendations.
I'll make a motion to approve the planning board staff recommendation.
Mr. Floyd, second Mr. Kiefer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Any carries? All right, we'll go to the second reading. Consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Amy Capel to rezone 4.5 acres located at 281 Noel C. Conway Road from AR1 to AR2, map number 352, parcel 19 in the first district. Motion?
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
First, Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Deloach, approve second reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Any carries? You can survey.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, may we be dismissed? Can we leave?
You may be dismissed.
All right, thank you.
Miss the rest of this wonderful meeting.
Thank y'all.
Your business is done. Item number 5, the planning board recommends approving an application by Sam Lord LLC for a commercial use to allow for an automobile service in a B2 zoning district located at 6150 Highway 21 South, map number 465, parcel 15 and 19 in the second district.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, this property is located at the corner of Highway 21 and Goshen Road. As stated, the property is zone B2. The use requires a conditional use approval by the commissioners. It's not a permitted use under a B2 zoning, so it is a conditional use under this zoning. Planning board and staff did recommend approval with the exact same stipulations.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing on this item. Anyone who's speaking for this conditional use application? Anyone here tonight speaking against this conditional use application? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions or discussion from the board? And it have a road access, does it?
I'm sorry.
No road access to that piece of property?
The proposed access is an existing driveway with connection directly from 21.
When we approve a conditional use for something like this, should the business or these folks go out of business or shut the business down, does it go back to?
The
that use goes
conditional,
away?
conditional use remains with the property. It's not the owner, it's the property. So if someone else wanted to come along and do the exact same thing, that use is allowed on that property.
But it looks like it's in a very commercial area. Buildings there, and I can't see the reason.
There was no opposition at the planning board.
All right, any other question, discussion? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Burdette to approve the planning board and staff recommendations. Okay, second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Deloach. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. And carries. The second reading to approve, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Sandlord LLC for a conditional use to allow for automobile service in the B2 zoning district located at 6150 Highway 21 South, map number 45, parcel 15 and 19 in the second district. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion Mr. Burdette, second Mr. Deloach to approve. Second reading, all in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Carries. Item number 7, Planning Board recommends approving application by Richard and Debbie McIntosh for a variance to occupy a camper as a temporary dwelling during the construction of a residence located at 1157 Harry Lindsay Road at 236 parcel 5B of the 3rd District.
Mr. Chairman, the ordinance does allow for a camper to be placed on the property during the construction of a dwelling. So the planning board and staff did recommend approval of this request. The duration approved by the planning board was for a 12-month period.
Or the certificate of occupancy, whichever's first, right?
The stipulation is the camper may be occupied during the duration of 12 months and must be vacated upon the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the new house. Yes, sir.
We will open the public hearing for this variance. Anyone who's speaking for? Anyone here not speaking against this variance request? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any discussion or questions from the board?
Quick question, you usually don't go 12 months. Was there an outstanding or an issue that they thought it was going to take 12 months to build, or they in the process of selling the house? Or?
The ordinance does allow up to 12 months.
Usually we don't.
It wasn't requested of the applicant, it was just decided among the board.
Okay. Curious, there's a reason.
Well, that takes a long time. Usually 16 months is enough. But if it's with the certificate of occupancy, that would cut it short too.
Sure.
So a motion?
Make a motion to approve the planning board and staff recommendations.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Floyd. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. It carries. Consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Richard and Debbie McIntosh for variance to occupy a camper as a temporary dwelling due to construction of the residence located at 1157 Harry Lindsay Road, map number 236, parcel 5D in the 3rd District. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second. Motion Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Burdette to approve the second reading. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. And it carries. Item number 9, the planning board recommends approving an application by James Woodcock to rezone 3.5 acres out of 13.66 acres located at 2311 Old Augusta Road from AR1 to AR2, map number 309, parcel number 22 in the 3rd District.
Mr. Chairman, again, this is a subdivision of 3.5 acres from a 13.66 acre parcel. Planning board and staff did recommend approval of this request.
Okay, open the public hearing on this item. Anyone here speaking for this rezoning? Anyone speaking against this rezoning tonight? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions or discussions from the board? Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the planning board and staff recommendations.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, have a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Floyd, to approve staff and zoning board recommendations. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Any carries. Second reading, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by James Woodcock to rezone 3.5 acres out of 13.66 acres located at 2311 Old Augusta Road from AR1 to AR2, map number 309, parcel number 22 of the 3rd District. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Kiefer to approve the second reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries. Planning board recommends approving this item 11. An application by Howard Wilson, Beacon Builders Incorporated for a sketch plan for a 72-lot development located at Courthouse Road, map 347, parcel number 7, in 84th District.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this property is located to the rear of a current development by the name of Barrister Crossing, which has access from Courthouse Road via the Barrister Drive. It was originally rezoned from AR1 to R1 in 2005. In 2016, an amendment to these conditions was approved by the commissioners to remove the conditions pertaining to the water and sewer services, the fire flow protection, and the access. The condition to not exceed 124 lots, which was a part of the original rezoning, remains in effect. The proposed sketch plan is for approximately 72 lots. Staff and planning board did recommend approval of the sketch plan.
Okay. This is on county water.
Yes, sir. County water with individual septic systems.
Individual septic systems? Okay. No better about that right now. Okay. All right, sounds good. Well, public hearing?
It's not a public hearing.
Yeah, it's not a public hearing. It's a sketch plan.
Okay, thank you.
But the applicant may be here to speak if you have any questions.
Is the applicant here to answer any questions?
Good evening. My name is Ryan Smith with Thomas and Hutton. I'm here on behalf of Cord Wilson. He apologizes he couldn't be here due to family commitment, but I'm here to answer any questions y'all have.
Thank you. Any questions or discussions on the board?
I have one question, Mr. Chairman. Brian, I spoke about the name of this development.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there consideration to,
So I talked to Cord about that, and
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
oh, sorry.
the question is, because we have an existing subdivision by the name of Barrister Crossing, we don't want a subdivision that's similarly named in the same area. So I spoke with Mr. Mr. Smith about changing the name of this development.
And Cord's not opposed to that. He thought about maybe making it just another part of the existing subdivision, so it's not confusing. But he's got to do some research on the covenants and restrictions that apply to that community and make sure there's nothing in there that prohibits him from doing something he wants to do, or vice versa. So I think he'd be fine changing the name if that's what you guys want. But if there's an advantage to having it the same name and it doesn't hurt anybody, he'd probably just as soon just be part of that community, from signage and fire safety, police.
Public safety.
Public safety.
Yeah.
Concern, thank you.
Any other questions or discussions from the board? So we have a motion to recommendations? Any more recommendations?
I'll make a motion to approve the planning board and staff recommendations.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Floyd to approve planning board staff recommendations. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Carries.
Mr. Chairman, I will need to recuse myself from the next item. My parents and my sister own property on the easement with the next subject property.
Okay, well, before you step down, I'm just going to recommend that we table this one. I need additional time to review information for myself to look at this request. I want the rest of the board is that way as well. Because our planning administrator is not here tonight. Reggie's not here, it's in his district. I've got some questions I want to resolve. I'd like to hear Reggie's comments as well. So I recommend maybe we table this and just, this is your
Call from Norman. They were trying to get us more information also, and they asked if we table.
Okay.
So I suppose that they're going to.
If we vote to table it, I just want the record to show that I recuse myself from the vote.
Okay. So, if Mr. Deloach can be accused from voting on this and making no comments, we appreciate that. Is there any motion to table?
Make a motion table to next month.
That will be the December 4th meeting.
So the 12/14?
12/4.
12/4. Okay. That's very good. That'll give me time. I just think we need to look at that before. So, Mr. Floyd made a motion to table. That's second.
Can we make that to a time specific, 6 o'clock, since it's public hearing now? Or not? Or you want to table it?
Well, it typically just falls under old business,
So it'll be early.
so it'll be early.
They should be early in 6 o'clock that way.
Yeah, well, I was just trying to be considerate.
Very good. So, motion, Mr. Floyd, to table to the December 4th meeting, that will be an item of old business. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Burdette. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And so that was tabled. So item number 13 is tabled as well. Okay. Item number 14, public hearing. Planning board recommends approving an application by H. Ellis Wilson for a variance to retain the existing 30-foot easement.
I think both of those are good.
Is that going to be probably?
No, that's
One is the rezoning and one is the variance. But I would think if you're tabling one, you would table both of them.
Yeah. So then, if you read down the motion table, variance to retain the existing 30-foot excess easement for the minor subdivision of property located at 275 Charles Lane, map number 470, parcel number 3, the 4th district. Do you have a motion to table that as well?
Make a motion to table this item until December 4th, 2018.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Key for the table. Second, Mr. Floyd, December 4th, 2018. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
I recuse on that vote as well.
Yep, and let the record show that Mr. Roach did not vote on that one as well. Item number 16, the planning board recommends approving an application by Claude and Elizabeth Kickliner for a variance to eliminate the required buffer for the R3 zone property in the adjacent B3 commercial property located on Augusta Road South, Highway 21, Jasper Village, map number 470, parcel number 2, Fifth District.
So, Mr. Chairman, the request is to eliminate the required buffers in this zoning district and the adjacent B3 commercial property. Planning board staff made a recommendation to require the 10-foot wide landscape buffer adjacent to Old Augusta Road and to reduce all other buffers to 15 feet to fit within the required perimeter setbacks. The planning board's recommendation is to require the 10-foot wide landscape buffer and to reduce all other buffer requirements to 0, no buffer requirements to fit within the required perimeter setbacks. And the recommendation is to approve.
Okay. Welcome to public hearing.
Thank you. I'm Mickey Kicklighter. I'm Claude and Elizabeth's son. Actually, we had asked for 0 buffer on both sides. And do y'all have a, is it up there? Do y'all have a plat Okay. This is that Jasper Village rental subdivision where it's going to be standalone houses rental. One part of the property is on Chatham County and all of the rest of the property is owned, that isn't going to be in Jasper Village, is owned by my mom and dad. The reason we're asking for us for zero buffers is particularly on the commercial side, we're planning for a shopping center there, and Shane Malik is here for Jasper Village, but if they deem it necessary, they'll put up a fence. One of the things we were asked to inform the county is what were we doing for trees. They have provided the county the tree layout. I don't know if y'all have it. It's 177 trees. Now, when we requested the change before the planning board, we did not ask for a zero buffer on Old Augusta Road, but we are going to change that to ask for a zero buffer. And the reason is, if you look at this design, and I'll pass it around to you after I finish talking about it, Toss Allen, our engineer, has drawn in the buffer, and if you have the buffer, we lose part of one of the parking lots. Now, what will be in the front is low vegetation, flowers, for lack of a, and I've got some pictures of their development in Augusta to show you, but there'll be a sign and some flowers, and then on the tree plan, everywhere you see the circles, the little circles are trees, and there'll be trees up front, planted up front as well. So if I may approach y'all, I'll let y'all pass this around. Oh, y'all have it all already? Never mind. Huh? They have what I have? Well, darn it. No, actually, that's good. All right, but if you'll look at the tree plan, you'll see the trees that are going to be planted, and then if you look at the photographs, you'll see the flowers and the type of sign that'll be up front. And then the zero buffer was actually for both sides of the property. Now on this one, you'll notice currently most of Mom and Dad's land that adjoins it under the new core regs is mostly wetlands. As we told the planning board, we are currently challenging that and hope to have the old JD back, and it won't be wetlands, but who knows? A lot of that, I guess, depends on what happens later tonight with the election. Any questions?
It was changed, you've changed this since the planning board?
The only thing we've changed since the planning board is the zero buffers on the Old Augusta Road. And that's because when we were there, I didn't realize that it would mess up the parking on the front rental unit and the amenities. What's up front?
Yeah, that's all right.
That's the amenities.
So in essence, he's asking for no buffers at all on all property sides.
That is correct. The only difference between what we asked for here and at the planning board is the Old Augusta Road part. But we will have flowers and a sign and all that good stuff. Actually, not we will, they will.
Buffers on Old Augusta, that's kind of commercial. That's going to be a commercial area you're talking about right there?
No, this is for the
Apartments?
their apartment, yes, sir.
Okay.
No, sir, the commercial area will have, will obviously have buffers on the road, I would suspect.
What's the advantage for the buffer?
Can I bring this up and show you?
Sure. I can see what I'm looking at, what you're showing me too. I want to fully understand.
Because this is what I'm talking See what the parking lot is? This is the amenities. And with
buffer on what Augusta exists, and they've got to move this. Yeah.
There's no buffer here.
Well, but I am worried about zero. It's weird, Captain, so. No offense, man. That's what I do want to do. And we're fighting this with the Corps, and if we get it back, we get it back. If we don't, we'll mitigate it. Get it back. Mama. Yeah, all of it.
Yeah, I'll see what they serve the purpose. That's its purpose. I see you got a residential section that would have noisy commercial or whatever. Sure.
And the zero buffer we're discussing is between two properties that are owned by the same person.
Yeah, well, that part.
Good.
I was thinking about the roadway.
Right.
Sometimes when that green space, we have in our ordinance, we have a certain amount of green space you have to have anyway to travel, right? We got the green space, I'm sure. Is that correct, Stephanie?
I'm sorry?
There's a certain amount of green space you have to have with any development.
Yes, sir.
And that, their plans have to comply with that, so.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions, discussions? All right, is this a, this is not a public hearing?
It
is
is.
It is? I'm thinking straight up trying to find what it's saying.
Number 16, I think.
I got it, I see that there's a public hearing, and just we're discussing the approval now. All right, anyone else speaking for this? This is a variance to the buffer, so,
Shane's here if you have any questions.
okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer. One thing I was going to add, sorry. Good evening, everybody. One thing I was going to add to Shane Malik, excuse me. I was going to add to what Mickey was saying on that zero buffer along Old Augusta. In addition to becoming problematic to our parking layout, it also would block the view of our, what we think is a very pretty amenities area from Old Augusta Road. Because I believe there's a requirement for a tree every 30 foot in that buffer space, and we just don't want to obscure that view. So,
Okay. Anyone else speaking tonight, or anyone speaking against it, against this variance? See no one speaking against the variance, I'll close the public hearing, and we'll see if there's any other discussion from the board. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the variance and remove the 10-foot wide landscape buffer adjacent to Old Augusta Road and reduce all other buffer requirements to zero.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Kiefer, second by Mr. Deloach. And make sure I understand the motion is clearly done. Basically, we're approving alternative one with a zero buffer on Old Augusta Road. Approving alternative one with a zero buffer on Old Augusta Road. All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Second reading. That's right. Mr. Capel, second reading will not take place during our next meeting since we changed it. Just make you aware of that, so.
Crap.
Second reading.
Okay.
Say that earlier.
When is your, that's a legal term.
It's going to change it.
When's your next meeting?
December 4th.
Okay.
So that'll be on the December 4th agenda. Okay. I believe that concludes our public hearing tonight. In fairness to those who have come for agenda items, if the board is willing, let's continue with our agenda items. So we can accommodate time. Go back to item number 7. Under the new business, consideration to approve the resolution pursuant to a local government lighting project agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation for lighting under the roundabout at SR 17 on Blue Ridge Road.
Good evening, Gary Shaw from Purchasing Agent.
The Highway 17 Blue Jay Road roundabout was completed earlier this summer and now requires lighting. Georgia DOT has agreed to finance the lighting design, material costs and installation if the county provides the energy, operation and maintenance. GDOT issued a letter to the county requesting that a resolution be approved by the board, by virtue of which the board can then enter into the local government lighting project agreement. The resolution has been reviewed and approved by the county attorney, therefore staff recommend alternative 1. Any questions?
Any discussion, questions from the board? We have a motion to approve alternative number 1.
Motion to approve alternative. Second.
Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Deloach, to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries. Item number 8, consideration to approve an application, an agreement for lighting at the roundabout SR 17 Blue Jay Road intersection.
This item is for board approval and execution of the LGLPA agreement, which the resolution that was just approved references. Funding is through Department 25. The cost is not known at this time as the county has no comparisons, but as a reference point, the lights and signals the county currently pay for are approximately $20 to $25 each month. The agreement has been reviewed and approved by the county attorney, therefore staff recommend alternative 1. Any questions?
Questions, discussion? Have a motion for alternative number 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative. Second.
Mr. Floyd, second Mr. Deloach, to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries. Thank you. Consideration to approve a resolution of surplus.
From time to time, the county has broken, unused, damaged or extra inventory, and in order for the county to properly dispose of these items, they must be declared surplus in accordance with OCGA 36-9-2. This resolution consists of a South Bend Silver Star oven from the prison kitchen, which due to its age would not be cost effective to repair. Staff recommends alternative 1, board's approval of the resolution of surplus. Any questions?
We have a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternative. Second.
Mr. Floyd, second Mr. Deloach. You know that now, Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Floyd. Approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries. Item number 10, consideration to approve to issue a contract termination notice to Tidewater Landscape Management for lawn care services.
The county currently has a mowing and lawn care services agreement in place with Tidewater Landscape Management, which runs on a month-to-month basis. As the Facilities and Grounds Maintenance Department is now fully operational, the scope of work in the mowing and lawn care agreement can be brought back in-house, allowing for the mowing and lawn care contract to be terminated. The county attorney has approved the termination letter, and as no funding is required, so I recommend alternative 1.
Spoke with Reggie before the meeting, and he asked if I would bring it up to all of you if we would table this to the next meeting. He said the Brian Kim function tonight in Athens. He wanted to speak on it. I told him I would bring it up on his behalf.
He mentioned that to me too, when I talked to him, he asked me.
Yeah, I visited buddies there. He gets to celebrate. I'd like to see us move forward this item. If we don't table, we can table it because we did discuss it extensively with our budget. We talked about, and I know I've already spoken with Seth Ziegler. I saw this item, and he has confirmed that he hired staff and got the equipment, and it's budgeted and fully discussed at that time. So I'm not sure what else we could address.
Our budget is predicated on doing this.
So I would suggest if it's a budget, move forward. Because we did have the opportunity to fully vet and discuss the options, and we didn't want to go this direction at that time. We have invested in equipment and staff to do this. So that's my thought. If you want to table, we can table, we can move forward.
I agree, it's in our budget. I mean, we've taken steps to put things in motion. I just told Reggie that I would bring it up, see what the board thought.
I think his concern is just won't be done as well. And I think it's just
And that's what he's-
to staff to make sure that our
Yeah.
in-house people take care of it as well as kind of budget.
I've expressed before as well, and I've got reservations about doing away with it totally the first year. I wanted to do it in a graduated standpoint where maybe we did half this year, see how it goes. Totally do away with time order the second year if things went well. But here we are, and we've already approved the new budget.
Yeah, my confidence in, I guess, in the staff that we have, they'll do it well.
And nothing against Seth, I mean, I'm not saying that, but just
Right.
methodically, I just kind of wish we were probably done half the first year.
And there's no reason why if it doesn't go well, you can't
Enter into another contract.
contract, exactly right.
That's great.
I think with our growth, we're gonna need the staff to do it for all the banks, we got our ball fields and so forth, so. Any other discussion, you want a motion to table or motion to approve alternative number one?
I'm gonna make a motion to approve alternative number one.
Second. Okay, motion by Mr. Kiefer to approve alternative number one, second by Mr. Burdette. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. It carries. Item number 11, consideration to approve a resolution to amend the 2018-2019 budget.
Each year, the board proposes a tentative budget. During the year, the board receives requests from agencies and department heads to adjust the budget, which requires a formal budget resolution. This budget amendment reflects correctional institution educational incentive funding of $54,000. Staff recommends alternative one.
Just a comment, this is within the same department, right? Is it more than one?
It's funding that we're going to get through the Georgia Department of Corrections.
Okay, I got you. Any questions, discussion? Motion?
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Second.
Mr. Ford, second, Mr. Deloach. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. It carries. Number 12, consideration to approve an application to accept the award of fiscal year 2019 County Corrections Street Education Incentive Funding for the Georgia Department, from the Georgia Department of Corrections.
Effingham County Prison has previously participated in the Georgia Department of Corrections Educational Incentive Funding Program, the goal of which is to provide educational opportunities to increase the acquisition of GEDs for our offenders. The warden has requested to enter into the program again for fiscal year 19. There are currently 25 students in the GED classes with the goal of 15 to 20 completions. The required items for the plan, as well as their costs, have been outlined in the application. The DOC has approved $54,000 for Effingham County Prison, which is based on the performance measures shown in the application. Payments will be made quarterly. Staff recommends alternative one.
And Warden Walter submitted this?
Yes,
Okay. We have not done this before, have we?
we did this last year, I believe.
We did this last year?
Yes.
Okay.
Optimistic because it's in the 19 budget.
I'm sorry.
It's in the 19, it's in the budget.
I had a question about the test expenses. It was 125 GED tests that we're purchasing, or is that?
No, we have 25 students taking or studying for the test at this moment in time, and the goal is for 15 to 20 of them to complete the GED test.
Right, but help me understand the GED test expenses. It says 125 and then 40 per test. That's what I was curious about, just trying to get the lower number or less of the test. You ready, Josh?
I'm sorry, I'm presenting this for the finance director.
The receipts all match up with the line that we're trying to get through. It's a great program, just really wants to be test. $40 a test. We're only looking to get that low number of people, or maybe just multiple tests, or just wasn't sure on how to look at it before.
I believe the $40 is what the inmates pay towards it. I can check that for you and bring it back to you if you like.
So is this something that's reoccurring, is what I'm asking?
Every year?
So every year we're doing this?
We can, if I believe the warden would apply for it, yes.
Okay, all right, good.
I believe the $40 actually is what the inmates pay, and we pay it to Georgia Tech for them to come out and do the testing, if I remember correctly, because we have an agreement with Georgia Tech to come and do the testing for the inmates.
I was curious why the 125, you have 20 seats.
Mark?
Does this
It's
time
for
work
a year,
here?
though, maybe it's a 3-month program or something, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
These two items tied together, this one and the one before this, they're both
Yes.
$54,000.
Yeah, it says we can accept the money.
It's a reimbursement, I think.
We're getting the money, we're getting $54,000.
But the item that we voted on before this is tied directly to this one.
So there really is no cost to us.
No.
Okay. That means a lot of my questions.
There's no cost.
There's no cost.
It just killed my questions.
Yeah.
But I am curious now, yeah, I'd be curious to know.
We probably need to learn more about this program. I've never, last year, probably not.
It's a great program. Anything we can do for the pay for the teachers.
It probably helps with the system too. You got some programming, just a lot of the rest that costs a lot of money to us anyway.
Well, it helps them out with a transition period too.
Yeah, I suspect they can't bring 125 inmates in there for one class. You know, they're spending time on the
It's
computer.
probably going to be, like you said, 20.
It's probably, probably a little early,
That's what I was thinking too, yes.
Okay. Any other questions, discussion? Motion to approve alternative number one.
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Second.
Mr. Floyd, second Mr. Roach, approve alternative number one. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Any carries.
Thank you.
Item number 13, consideration to approve a warranty deed to accept the grade water and sewer table.
That was removed.
Want to read that one? I wrote we gave that one, but I didn't. Think we removed it. Okay. Item number 14, consideration to approve a final plat and a utility warranty deed to accept infrastructure in Winfield subdivision located off of Highway 30 consisting of 9 lots across the city.
Pretty much said it, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Greathouse is requesting the county approve this final plat for these 9 lots, as well as the utility warranty deed. It is considered as parcel C. The deed has been reviewed and approved by the county attorney. The roads within this development was approved and the deed was accepted February 24th of 2010. A water sewer agreement was approved by the commissioners on December 19th of 2006 to serve 364 equivalent residential units within this development. Staff does recommend approval of this evidence.
Okay, so the water and sewer issues have already been answered. So, okay. Any questions or discussions? We have a motion to approve alternative number one.
Motion to approve alternative one.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Floyd, second from Mr. Burdette, to approve alternative number one. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. And carries. Consideration to approve final plat and warranty deed to accept the infrastructure of Buckingham Plantation, Phase 2A, located off Highway 30, consisting of 51 lots.
Mr. Chairman, staff has reviewed, along with our engineering staff, the final plat and the roads, the water sewer use and storm drainage has been inspected as well and recommended approval by our engineering staff. We have received a bond warranty of $30,600, which is 10% of the estimated value of the infrastructure. The warranty deed was reviewed and approved by the county attorney. Staff recommends approval of the final plat and the deed.
Any questions or discussions? Alternative one is requested. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Motion from Mr. Burdette, second Mr. Floyd, to approve alternative number one. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. And carries. Item number 16, consideration to approve a letter of engagement between Zipper Loberbond.
Bouvet.
We're looking at these names right now. Venus. Oh, there it is. Board of Commissioners, Effingham County Legal Services.
Yes, sir, this letter is to engage Zipper, Lobavon, and Bouvet for a petition for a habeas corpus that was filed by Timothy McMenon for a case dating back February 2018. Legal counsel proposes to invoice the county on a monthly basis. The estimated costs and expenses for this litigation is not to exceed $5,000. The responsible principal attorney for this case will be Ms. Elizabeth Palace with that firm. Staff does recommend approval of this request.
We have got a question for you. Habeas corpus is to comply with some kind of law or statute, right? This is habeas corpus.
It's a criminal matter, and so yes, to answer your question, yes.
Why is our insurance not represented?
Basically, our insurance will handle civil matters.
Only civil?
They don't handle criminal matters.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? All right, have a motion?
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Mr. Floyd, approve alternative one, got a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Deloach, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Just a point of clarification, I'm sure the criminal allegation, but it's innocent to prove guilty, correct? So would they not have some kind of protection for him, and coverage, and coverage beyond that? Is that something we need to have executive session discussion?
I mean, part of what habeas is that he's being withheld. I guess illegally, the conviction was wrong, getting ineffective assistance of counsel, maybe. That's usually what most habeas petitions are. And we could look into, I guess we could ask this at ACCG if they would provide coverage. I would imagine it'd be cost prohibitive because, I mean, these are filed, I would say fairly often. This is probably one or two we've had in the last year or two. Probably more what we pay for the increase in insurance for this. And I just doubt we would cover that, to be honest with you.
Well, I just know you get charged for coming criminally, and they usually provide coverage up to that point where they prove it's a criminal, and then they don't have to do it under our contract, I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know. Anyway, we can look at that and see. I just want to make sure we don't miss any opportunity.
I understand.
All right, number 17, consideration to approve commissioner's travel for the new commissioner's conference in Athens.
Do we need to recuse this?
No. For just that, Mr. Chairman, we went through it last year. It's Mr. Burnett's turn to participate in the new commissioner conference.
To approve the, I guess it's alternative one, this one as well.
Yes, sir.
Approve alternative one. Well, just make his own motion, guys.
Make a motion to approve alternative one. Second.
Mr. Glenn, second, and Mr. Floyd. Approve alternative one, all say say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. They gonna make your own motion. That's right. We'll go to just a few minutes to get left. So, consideration to approve, that's item 18, consideration to approve clerk travel for the Georgia Public Education Institute retreat at Callaway Gardens.
I'm going to travel about the same time as Mr. Burdette. That is on December the 6th and Friday the 7th.
I think these are mixed up, so they're Callaway Gardens.
I've had my share of programs.
I have a motion to approve alternative one.
Make a motion for alternative one. Second.
Mr. Floyd, second, Mr. Kiefer, to approve alternative one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries. Got a couple of additional items we added to the agenda. Consideration to approve to authorize the chair to sign a sanitary sewer extension submittal from EPD to Jasper Village located on Old Augusta Road South.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Toss Allen Engineering. First off, I appreciate y'all accommodating us on this request. There should be two applications up there, a sanitary sewer extension and a water extension as well. They are basically just what it says, applications that go to EPD for us to extend the water and or sewer lines. And it does require the signature of the local government who will own and operate those systems. And there's some certifications that you're signing at the bottom with as to what you are certifying as a local government.
Okay. I think, Michael, you want to help us with this? I've got some questions that I'm sure you're going to do this and we want to provide it. I want to make sure that we have the current capacity before we extend the line. If we extend the line, what time do we have to make sure we do whatever we need to do? One thing you met with EOM last week was to see what upgrades, where we at, trying to get up to speed, make sure we have the capacity, or what we need to be making sure we have the capacity. You want to help us with this?
Sure. The capacity of the distribution system, from what I understand, the fire flow would not be adequate at this time for the subdivision. On the wastewater side, the plant permit, there's room in the plant permit at this time, but we're trying to add in all the subdivisions that have been approved so that the usage that's the flow today is going to be different in 6 months from now from things that have already been approved, and we're close on the permit today. So we want to make sure before we approve any more, we have plans in place to increase the capacity of the plant.
I've got some questions that I've asked, and I know y'all looking at it, we may not have the answer yet. Our current infrastructure, Tosh, you might help us with this. It's permitted for 1 MGD. Is all the physical structure in place other than the spray fields in place to actually service 1 MGD?
That's correct. It's my understanding that the physical plant will handle it, but we either have to increase reuse or additional LAS, land application.
Okay. All right. So water pressure is still an issue we need to address in that area for this subdivision?
Yeah, I would say flow. I don't know about pressure. You might get help with that, but I would say flow. And I think the availability of water is not in question.
You've got availability.
But that's correct. But the flow at that particular location.
All right. What's the time schedule, Toss, on the extension, completion, and all that's going on?
I'm glad. So I asked Shane to answer that question. I know that they're wanting to get started as soon as possible, but as far as the development schedule, I'm not sure if you vetted that or not.
Hi, Shane Malik again. So, yeah, we'd like to get started as soon as possible. It could be a month, could be 2 months, could be after first of the year, but we're anticipating a 2.5-year project from start to complete stabilization. So in 2.5 years, we'll have about 210 residential units lived in.
When would you have the first residence constructed?
Yeah, the first residence lived in would be most likely 1 year from groundbreaking, so a year into the process, and then we will be delivering units about 6 per week from that point on.
So we would have about 1 year to make sure we had adequate capacity in our current treatment facility to handle the flow, right?
On the wastewater side, I think there's a question on the water side right now. Not in terms of capacity of available water, but on the distribution system to carry water for fire flow.
I didn't know if y'all wanted me to answer that. Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly correct. Based on the existing flow and pressures on that existing line, when you do the hydrant test, there is not adequate flow and pressure to provide fire protection to all 210 homes. There's enough to provide peak daily demand, your drinking water, living water, that sort of stuff. But the system, and I don't have it in front of me, I believe in the very rear of the development, we could deliver about between 700 and 800 gallons a minute at 20 PSI. the required fire flow is 1,500. Right. So the system as comprised. Now, I would also add, as you all are aware, it's not simply this development that has an issue pressure-wise. There's some county-wide issues that are experiencing pressure and flow as well. So any improvements made to the system certainly are not for this development. They would be for county-wide. And there's certainly areas that don't experience that, but they're Emerald Plantation, some of the outliers now, have that problem as well.
Yeah, here's where I'm at, just got to report to speed. When I saw that and I heard us have comments about how many thousands of gallons we had available in our sewer, and my antennas just went up. I don't want to get us ourselves in a liability situation with you or anybody else. And I want to make sure we supply what you need when you need it. And so we've got some work to do on our end. On the water and sewer, we're going to talk to the board tonight about their just reports. Is EOM has expressed to me we need to do a modeling to not just put an expensive booster in a certain area or a tank, but really know what we have to do to provide the water at the 1,500
Well, we
PSI.
borrow funds to enhance our current system, so the things that we already have in place will that be taking care of this issue?
Some of it is there in that
We
one.
want to do looping and add a booster station.
I don't know if the looping will help this in.
No, Mr. Delos, the looping would not help this particular area. The boosters and/or elevated tanks, however you all decide to add head to the system, would. And you're correct, in the hydraulic model, that was done fairly recently. I say recently, last year or two. Husky, Bell and Young did that, and there were some stabs at how we could solve it that were actually presented to y'all, some time ago, whether it's boosters and, again, there's 100 ways to skin that cat, and that's.
Were you aware that I wasn't either?
No,
That's
that hadn't been
information.
shared.
That's not-
It's on your server, yes, sir. There is a WaterCAD model of that system that was
We
done
need to locate that. Right.
within the last year or so. Been longer than that, been going, but within 2 to 3 years. That should be fairly accurate. All the new stuff at that time was added in. Again, it was done by Husky, Bell and Young. It is on your servers for y'all's use. I just added that. If it'll help us, you go for it. And we certainly, they don't want a project that doesn't have fire flow. We don't, just tonight you added another fire station. You've made improvements in your ISO. We don't want to be the cause of, to harm that in any way. We just want to be partners with y'all as we go forward. And, I think that those projects are on the books. The money is there from some of the bond proceeds. I think it's just a matter of getting it done, to where we can all live with the timetable and the consequences of that.
And that's what I was asking about. It took about a year, I think, we probably could do our engineering. Because I know that there's some repairs we need to do to our current system as well. That I don't think is in that bond. There's some scaling we need to do.
If I could comment, and I'm not trying to discourage the development at all, but the projects there is a booster station / tower project in the capital program, but, and I certainly wasn't aware that we had recent modeling information. We certainly need to explore that. But where to put the tank, where to put the booster, all of those questions I think need to be answered, not necessarily before this gets approved, that's y'all's decision, but we can't just go put a tank in the system without having the information to decide what's going to be best suited for the system. The system is really relatively large, whether one tower is going to be enough, whether a booster station at the metering station is going to be enough, whatever those options are going to need to be vetted, and then those projects could move forward.
Yeah, so my question is can we accomplish the modeling and engineering and construction, whatever is needed in a year's time, so that when they finish this extension, they're ready to start tying on, we'll be ready?
I think it's safe to say that 12 months would be an aggressive schedule to be complete through preliminary design, which means we really don't even know what the projects are yet. Are we going to build a water tower? Are we going to build a booster station? How are we going to expand the capacity at the plant? Even though the plant physically will take it, are we going to sell more reuse? Are we going to build another land application system? So if we were farther along and a little more concrete in our plans, I think, but we're what I'm going to call pre-planning. You know, we've got some projects funded, but we really don't know what those projects are yet.
Well, can we put a major focus on that? Because half the battle is always having the funding, and I feel we've taken a step to have the funding in place. So I think we definitely need to put a focus on that.
Definitely. I just don't want to create liability. Think about timing, we don't have the water. You know, I don't know if is there a temporary, if booster that we could do if we got into a bind that would allow the fire flows?
There are, I mean, they have the ability to do things on their site. I don't know if that's anything that they would desire to do. And part of what I think needs to be decided, I mean, in every municipality or community, it's not always up to the community to provide the extensions, to provide the water. You know, there can be agreements. I came from the city of Savannah. Sometimes they require the developer or the builder to do certain things. So it's something that y'all would need to think through to decide how you want to skin the cat.
Yeah, but I hear what they're saying. I know that this is not just for that subdivision. We need that extra boost for the whole area.
That's correct.
And so we're not going to put that across.
And it's not for that area.
Yeah, it's more areas. So we don't want to put on them, but I just want to make sure we can meet their need a year from now.
Right.
I'm not sure to move forward.
A temporary solution system-wide, I think would be a big hill to climb.
Just want to follow up on what Jamie said, Mickey Kickletter again, I don't know if I need to do that. But with regard to the time urgency, and I don't know that anybody was on the board when this happened, but my mom and dad donated property for the Old Augusta Road free of charge with the promise of water and sewer, and I think it was about 12 years ago. And that promise has not been honored yet. And you've mentioned liability twice, and I'm not threatening anything, but my dad's 85 and he served this country for over 60 years, and my mom's 83 and was with him every step of the way. And the fact that we find out we've got this problem tonight is, I think, disrespectful to my parents as people and disrespectful to the gift they made to this county years ago based upon the promise that they'd have water and sewer. The last time I was in front of the county about these issues, I did the math where my cousin Bobby also donated. Both of those donations were in excess of $300,000 a piece of property values. Plus, in addition to that, they paid increased property taxes on that property every year since then. The total value of that gift to the county, from our perspective, is well over $1 million at this time, and they've received nothing in return. So I would ask you to honor Jamie's request and to have hopefully a positive response by that December 4th meeting when we have to come back on the variance. And I'm not, and maybe I am being a little emotional because it's my mom and dad, and I don't mean to be, and like Toss said, we want to be good partners, but they've waited a long time to receive from some money, and they're old enough that they deserve to get it now. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. We want to work hard toward this end. We're excited about the development and what can happen. You know, a lot has changed since the system was built. A lot has been added. 10 years ago, there was capacity, you know, and it's just there's been a lot of growth around the county that's affect the pressure, affect the, so I guess I'm saying the previous board did build it and didn't have it available. It's just because of the growth, we're finding ourselves, we need to go back and relook at some things.
Well, Wesley, part of the problem is it's never been available to us.
Okay. So, Mr. Loach, we need to make it a priority, obviously. Can we move forward to and make the final decision on the 4th of December so we can get some thoughts and
Temporary, whatever, but yes, please.
okay.
On behalf of my mom and dad. And I'm sorry I'm emotional about it, but they're great parents.
So would it be available to table this to the December 4th meeting and make a decision at that time?
What is our plan between now and then? I mean, we're definitely going to have some
Here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to, because I don't want to
EOM.
I'd like, because I talked to them about you guys authorizing a night, a modeling of our system so we can immediately handle these issues. Okay, we're going to make a list of the repairs, look at our current capital that we're going to improve, make sure those are going to meet all our needs. Some we have remodeling, which is going to speed that along, because I figured that'd take a couple of months. If we've got modeling that's done, and Dan and you guys and look at that, we might determine the schedule which we can meet 12-month period. And of course, I don't know what the solutions are, that's engineering stuff, but I want to meet that obligation. That's my heart. I was going to do it wise, I just wanted to say, yep, I want to know how we're going to do it.
Right.
And be able to communicate that to you so you do it well. So let's get that model.
Right.
And we're scheduled to meet again next week. I just want to meet every 2 weeks, and we'll look at that modeling, and we'll be ready for this meeting. I'm not going to be involved with anybody.
Sure.
And there have been several things in place as far as for land application for the spray fields that's just been dropped, nothing done.
I think the land application is something we can resolve. I think with the IDA, we have a couple of locations on that, and we're working on something else that, we're looking at ECP. We got our phosphorus down fine to a very good level.
Stephanie, can you help Mike get a copy of the modeling? Okay.
Right, yeah, we'll certainly commit to doing everything we can do to expedite it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I have a question. Is it not common practice for fire stations in the area to utilize tanker trucks in locations where flow is lower than required? And if so, are there tanker trucks available in our area that could service us in case the county's not able to come up with a permanent solution by the time we develop?
And that we can look at, if you want to address now, but certainly, there's so many thousand gallons of minutes you got to have in the fire, right?
Back to address that.
Okay, go ahead.
Clint Hodges, Fire Chief again. In regards to this particular development, it's within the city of Rankin service delivery area for fire protection. With that being said, I don't want to give you an answer on behalf of the city of Rankin. However, just knowledge, yes, we do have tankers that are available. In the meantime, yes, we can make up the difference. So if that does help a little bit.
So maybe something could work out fire-wise, which would take some of my concern about the 1,500 gallons a minute. And it could be with their hose lay, they might get to a better pressure, I don't know, would make it.
Probably not in this scenario. But
Is there water over there?
there is water, but the volume is the issue. But yes, in the meantime, if there was an incident, we could respond with additional tankers from the county fire department as well, because we respond to automatic aid as well.
So we'll try to resolve the fire and modeling and those things on the fourth. And if you can, get your information, also contact you and talk about it.
Well, we have a ladder truck now, so we can do anything right.
And Chairman, I certainly don't want to inject myself anywhere I don't need to be, but yes, there were plans for all of these things in the past, and things change. I get it. It may not be the way to move forward today, but I'd be more than happy to tell you what I know anyhow, and what the thought process was and where people were going. Again, whether it's correct or not today is for someone else to decide, but I'll help anyhow I can.
Well, we started to discuss with the OEM, that's why I was here tonight. So I would say that meeting when they had a priority to address the capital improvements. They're looking at that for me now. And with the modeling, that'll really move it along. Because I thought the modeling might take us 2 or 3 months. That's going to really help. Okay?
Thank you.
I'll put table to the 4th. Do I have a motion to table that to the 4th?
Make a motion to table it until December 4th.
Second.
First from Mr. Kiefer, second Mr. Deloach, table this to December 4th. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. It's tabled. Thank you. Item number 20, consideration to approve a letter of support for the city of Springfield for the redevelopment of the property located 405 North Law Street.
Mr. Chairman, thank you all for adding this item at the last minute. The reason for asking so is the deadline for the submittal of this request is November 15th, and we will not have a meeting prior to that date. But this letter of support is for a grant application to DCA for a proposed redevelopment for the expansion of 2 local businesses, which will result in opportunities for future economic success. This building they're referencing is the old Walls Furniture Store. So, staff recommends approval.
There's no financial, there's no commitment.
No financial commitment, no, sir. Just a letter of support.
Make a motion to approve the letter as presented.
Second.
Motion Mr. Key, second Mr. Lewis, to approve the letter as presented, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Any carried. That concludes our new business. We'll go to the staff reports. Administrative staff?
I've got one thing. The county received a letter in October from GDOT. This is pertaining to a recommendation by GDOT that the county perform a new traffic impact analysis at the Highway 21 and the new ball fields, the new recreation complex. A study was done by Coastal Engineering in 2016, and at the time, I believe the ballpark field was not there, and they did try to project the future traffic then, but anyway, at that time, it came up with a recommendation that no signal be put there or anything like that. So GDOT is saying now that phase 1 is completed and anticipation of phase 2 at some point will be completed, that a new study be done. In addition, in talking with Coastal Engineering, they're saying GDOT's requirements have changed. It used to be they only had to look at a couple of different options, like a roundabout and a traffic signal. And now GDOT has 5 or 6 things that they want the study to consider, such as single lane roundabouts, double lane roundabouts, extending a turn lane on an R cut, which basically requires a right turn and go up and make a U-turn to come back, as well as a traffic signal. Coastal Engineering did the first one, and they will do an addendum to that for $3,100. That's a $1,000 discount from their normal price. And we'd like the board to consider repeating that study and doing it with the additional information that GDOT requires.
I know I would like to see a light there. They may not agree that they require the roundabout, but I just think we're looking for some tragic accidents in the afternoon with all those hundreds of cars trying to turn in the park and people zipping by. They want to try to shoot a gap. And so I would be for $3,100, update the study and see what we can.
Nothing's going to happen until you do that.
Yep. So, everybody in agreement to go ahead and do the study? Okay.
Okay, that's it.
What else? Got kind of the other administrative staff, see the reports here.
Several things you can actually read these all yourself, so I'll just run through topics. It's a financial update for the status of the financial audit, monthly report for animal control for the month of October, a quarterly report from EMS for the month of July and September. Staff also wanted to remind the board that we need to start looking at our LMIG projects for our LMIG grant. That's coming up. We also received our CIE update approval from DCA. That's included in the material. And lastly, our meeting in January falls on New Year's Day. So staff will be placing an item on the December 4th agenda for consideration to cancel or move that meeting date. It falls on New Year's Day in January.
Quick question on the recreation fee. Why is the water building $100?
Just wanted to say anything.
I was about to go back to
Bigger, much bigger, with a full kitchen.
What do we charge Well, we're going to finish this, let's do the January edition first. Do you want to change that agenda meeting, at board meeting, or do you want to cancel that board meeting?
Staff was gonna recommend canceling it.
When we swear in our new commissioner,
I'm sorry?
when we swear in our new commissioner.
That's, would go to the second meeting.
So what happens?
That would be our, if we cancel it, whatever the date is of our second meeting would be our first meeting of the year, and that's usually.
So everybody can make decisions and vote on anything we need to do. I mean, we don't go 2 weeks without a commissioner not sworn into it.
Well, he's already here. He's already here.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
We'll all anyone on the ballot or elected, I'll have to be re-sworn.
Okay.
Everybody.
Everybody, that's right.
So
that term.
there's no issue with making decisions if we need to between then and the second meeting.
And if I recall correctly, the swearing in actually takes place before the January meeting. I believe y'all did it last time in December. with Judge Mosley. Yeah, that's done at the courthouse.
Okay. All right, so is there any thoughts on, staff recommendation is to cancel it. Do you want to move it to the next week, or do you want to cancel it?
We'll put it on the agenda and you all can make a decision.
This going to cause the next meeting to be this long?
Let's hope not.
Okay.
Let's hope everybody's still enjoying the holidays and you're not thinking about putting anything on the agenda.
Well, it sounds like, I don't hear you rebuttal about casting, so put it on the agenda to approve the cancellation of it.
Okay, that's all right.
Give you an idea of the amount of material for the meeting too.
I'm sorry.
An idea of what's going to be building up for that.
Stephanie does a good job of, scheduling, so you'll know if we need one.
Sitting back to recreational fees, you have any questions about that? Are these the current recreational fees we're charging?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It is.
I hadn't seen them out, she said it is.
Yeah, I was just curious why it was $100 more.
Because of the size of the building.
And when you say size of building, you mean it's not bigger than the gym at 119? Or are you talking about like a seating area?
Yeah, I'm talking about what, it's a stage and kitchen and all that. So
Okay.
It's always been higher now. We can reduce it, but it has always been $100 higher than everything else.
Okay.
I want to reduce it. I think $200 is pretty inexpensive for it.
And our rates are a whole lot cheaper than anybody in the county.
Huh?
Our rates are a whole lot cheaper than anybody in the
Yeah, I'm
county.
sure they are. $200 for all day, I would teach you.
Come most places at $800, $900 to $1,000.
Yeah, that's a private business trying to make a living.
Yeah.
Mr. Stephens, you bring up about the dedication of the flagpole.
No, you can mention that.
What in the world gave it the flagpole at CEM complex and they want to have a dedication?
You know, one of the things we need to do is we need to look at all our fees. We don't need a workshop for that as well.
We do. We have a lot of changes.
Yeah, we need to look at that and schedule that.
Yeah, Mr. Charles Davis from Woodland World gave it the flagpole for CEM complex, and he would like to have a flag dedication, which we need to. We're kind of limited. We only activity we have over the weekend, and most of a lot of the outside county team is on Thursday night when we have our navigators. We go the 8th, the 15th, and the 29th, and I would love to do on the 29th. The last night we had navigators out there playing soccer, and those who can come. But they gave us a 40-foot flagpole, and we need a dedication where they can present it to the county. Is that?
Do we know where it's going?
I recommend it 6:45 on the 29th of November.
Do we know where it's going, the flagpole?
It's already there, it's already installed.
Okay.
When you walk in, Eva entrance is right there behind the Field 3 score tower.
Just want to dedicate it on the 29th at 6:45.
Yeah, because navigators start at 7, so. Or we can do it at 6:30 if you want to do it at 6:30.
What day of the week?
It's the 5th Thursday, so I figure not a lot going on.
I'm good with that.
And I'll send an invitation out to the people through Ms. Stephanie.
6:45 or 6:30?
Let's say 6:30, that way they can start soccer. And for those who don't know, Effingham Navigators is playing soccer at the Reddit Complex. And South Effingham soccer team and Effingham United Robert Long team is mentoring them every Thursday night. And we probably have, counting the spectators, 100 plus every Thursday night out there.
That sounds good.
But we'll do it 6:30 on 29th.
This will try to understand.
Ms. Fiona, guys. Thank y'all.
Thanks, appreciate it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that project is essential. Make sure you follow. Okay, any other administrative stuff over here?
I've just given you a copy of a draft RFP for changes at Sandhill Park, the improvements at the Sandhill Recreation Park. If you can just go through it and if you let me know, let Clarence and I know, we can put it out to bid as soon as we have your blessing. So obviously there's a few things that there's highlights and I've put, we need more explanation, we need more description, but I had a very rough draft of it, so.
This pretty much covers what?
I'm sorry?
This pretty much covers what Clarence brought to us a month or so ago.
Yeah, it's everything that he had in his report that he presented to you. But like I said, he and I need to get together just to get a bit more, few more specifications.
So we're not going to be able to do this in-house?
We're going to put it out and we're going to do it separate items so that we can pick and choose. If we decide we want to do it in-house, we can do it in-house. If we decide that we want to, we're going to purchase some things, then we can.
A la carte, I guess.
A la carte, exactly. Oh,
Mr. Jamie, it's probably only one or two or three items that we can do in-house. Rest of them is item we can't do in-house.
most of the pages are just the standard bid documentation.
See this and review it, be ready for, maybe, is there a fourth one?
If you can just let me know when you are okay with me to put it out to bid, then we can put it out to bid and get working on it. And obviously, if we put it out to bid, we don't have to accept any of the bids we get back. Just want to make sure that you're aware.
Put out for bid?
Put it out for bid, let's go.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Clarence, and we'll get that put out for you, and we'll bring it back to you once we've got the results back. Thank you.
Even actually got many contractors.
Well, you may not have that many, because it's several, they might bid on several projects. Although sometimes you might get a better price if you put projects together too. Anybody else over here in the staff reports? Instead of anything else?
I'm sorry?
Give you anything else?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Welch?
Yes, Chris, I just want to say I appreciate you sending out the emails on what's going on. That's been helpful. Appreciate that. I want to say thank you to our clerk, Stephanie, for wearing several hats
Absolutely.
here lately, so we appreciate that. That's all I have.
Anything else? You have play your computer?
I'm just thinking about something.
Just a second real quick. I'd like for us to consider doing quarterly meetings with the department heads as a board to really beef up our communication between all of us. And not just to find out what we're doing, but also encourage them when they need to be encouraged and increase our communication between us and the department heads. find out more what's going on for our purposes and theirs, set some goals, and just really be a little more dialed in with all the department heads on a more regular basis. I know we do something annually now. The annual's a long time. I think to encourage unity, as a board, encourage unity with our department heads. We've got some great ones. Just be a little more dialed in. If we're a little more time, I think it would be well worth it.
You can explore that idea. That's good. Anything else? It's board.
We have an executive session.
Yes. We probably need to have an executive session. We've got a couple of things to go. Any food? Okay. All right. Any other comments, discussions? Now, entertain a motion to go to executive session, discuss personnel, property, and litigation.
Second.
First, Mr. Kiefer, second, Mr. Roach. In executive session, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And we're in executive session.
We did that.